Welcome to our podcast series, Maori and Pacifica Navigating Islam. Assalamu alaikum, kia ora te whanau. I am your host, Joanne Mackey. My iwi, meaning tribe, is Ngāti Porou. Disclaimer, these are our personal experiences. Our topic, breaking the news of our conversion to Islam to our families. Kate Al-Dalib will be our regular on our series. Her iwi tribe is Waikato. Welcome, Kate. No mai, haere mai. The floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum. So, my experience of telling my family, I was lucky enough to have the support of my brother and sister at the time I converted, with my parents being back home in Aotearoa, New Zealand. I do remember the phone call I had with my father, and he said something like, I know someone who became Muslim just to marry two women. So I guess that was his way of expressing dislike for my religion without offending me. My mum's pretty chill. It was whatever makes you happy. I also wrote a letter to my parents and sent it. I don't remember a lot of what I wrote, but I do know that it was assuring them that Islam wasn't going to pull me away from them. And I remember saying something along the lines of, "You raised me well, so you should know that big decisions I make are based on that." Um, my family knew that I had been looking into Islam, so they weren't too surprised. Um, I do come from a fairly close family, so I knew going into it they would be more supportive than not. And being the person that I am, it was, I'm Muslim, take it or leave it. Although that's not an approach I recommend, you have to know your audience. And on their part, it was you do you, just don't preach. I can honestly say that family can and will play a huge part in your journey of Islam. I also live by those who matter don't mind and those who mind don't matter. And for myself, having the support of my family helped me in the way I perceived Islam and the way I interact with them even now. If I could give any advice when it comes to telling your family and loved ones, it would be just to be understanding, be soft in your approach, understand that any negativity could be coming from a place of fear. And your parents, in specific, it could be a protection mechanism. Sometimes they're scared and they just don't want to lose who you are to them. And be mindful that it can also be disrespectful to your parents. Many Maori pride themselves on the way they raised you, so on the way they raised their children. So, taking on a different path in life can be confronting for them and almost a kick in the guts for them, as in, like, I didn't raise you well enough. So, yeah, and also, more times than not, they know nothing about Islam. And if they do, it could be a negative narrative based on many things, media in specific. Um, it's hard because I know there's people that struggle with family dynamics, and it's easy for me to say let it go if they don't support you. But we will find ourselves seeking the approval of those who matter the most to us, and that's normal. Honestly, I would struggle if my family didn't support me. I guess all I can say is there will be those who don't support you, and you have to learn to be okay with that. And I'll end with, it's not your job to make them understand, and it's not your job to convert them. But it is your responsibility as a Muslim to understand the person you have to be towards them. It's not enough to speak it, show them in your manners, in your character. Show your Islam, live it. Show up as you are with this understanding and be patient. Make every interaction count with them and be comfortable that you have done the best that you can and leave the rest up to Allah.
Ngā mihi, Kate, for sharing your experience. There's lots of good practical advice in there. Thank you. My family also, perception of Islam was from negative media because there was no positive media out there. So when I told them I was Muslim, well, they weren't shocked because I always did weird and wonderful things. And but when they saw me in hijab, they were kind of like a little bit flawed. And I was nervous. I really was nervous facing them. I was so scared. And I really wanted my mum's approval. But, alhamdulillah, being Maori, there's always someone there, especially my brother-in-law at that time was cracking jokes and making light of the situation. And, everyone got used to it. So, alhamdulillah. 9/11 happened, and for the whole week, my mum rang me venting her frustrations, and that's understandable, and she was concerned that I was in this really, bad religion that was teaching bad things. And then, after conversing with her, she understood better. So, communication is key. Uh, 27 years later, I have been Muslim now 27 years. My mum sings my praises. So she is because she can see the effect it has had on my life and my children's lives. She loves the hijab. She loves the modesty. I think it's beautiful. The best advice I can give is if you have a toxic environment regarding family, friends, or community, if you have the chance to move to a better environment that has a better supportive community with schools and mosques to support you, etc., do so. Make it your intention, pray about it, do your research, and move so that you're supported in your deen and so are your children. Regarding your family, though, stay connected, because we're supposed to maintain family ties and keep that kinship. So every family dynamic is different. If visiting isn't the best option, call them or message them. Treat them with love and patience and respect, and let your actions speak louder than words. And that's the best advice I can give. Well, that concludes our podcast. Ka kite anō. See you again with our next topic. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Ka kite anō. Bye.